Hey guys, Spudcubs here with another 10-minute build. Today we're going to be building an Abrams tank replica. Yeah, I'm going for the replica again, and you know me, the freeaboo that I am. I'm going to be building an American vehicle, because America. Now, with all of the great new additions to the game as of late in the last update sprint the devs have been going through, this could very well just have been called the land update. We've had the addition of mech legs as well as tank tracks. I'm going to be fully taking advantage of the addition of tank tracks today. As you can see, we're building a little tank. Now, I do have a little bit of a gripe, however. I know I'm going to start the video off negatively. No, it's going to be positive. You just wait and see. It's going to be a good thing. So, wheels used to be fast. For at least what I can remember. I remember having at least cars that can go pretty fast. But the wheel max power use is like 10 right now. They can't output very much force. And since it's you know, it's not like an actual car. It's not that your speed is dependent on the power of your engine. It's dependent on how many wheels you have, because each wheel adds a certain small amount of force to your vehicle. That being said, tracked and multi-wheeled vehicles like this tank are going to be exceptionally fast. But I tried making a racing car on a stream like a week or two ago. It only had, like, you know, basic four wheels, but it was the lightest and most aerodynamic car you can probably try to make an FTE that still works. And it went like 7 meters per second. So I'm kind of sad, but, you know, it's like I can't make cool, fast scout cars anymore. I can't make the jet cars, because that's not the car. Oh god, I've been watching a lot of Metalocalypse clips, so excuse me. While I sound like a really bad impression of generic Scandinavian accent. Alright, now back to the tank. So one of the things you'll notice is I'm putting hatches here. You'll see why later. But I outline everything on my vehicles, especially because it's a replica. Outline everything with blocks, because you'll see how it's shaped. You'll see I moved the turret earlier. I wouldn't have known to move the turret if I didn't outline everything first, because you don't know how everything is shaped if you don't shape it. So I would highly recommend to everybody building anything, just build it first, do the fine touches later. That's what I mean when I say broad strokes first, you know, fine touches, little details afterwards. You don't need to worry about it till the end, because one of the greatest things you have available in your Friendly Devs toolbox is the shift click tool. You can replace any block in the game. And I do that quite often, especially you'll see how I built this entire tank out of solid wooden blocks. I'm just metal blocks, solid metal blocks, and then just replaced them as I went. Because I just wanted the shape, I just wanted the dimensions, and I'll work off of that. And there's not too much to a tank, really. Kind of the opposite of what a mech would be, which is why, you know, mechs in my eyes are kind of, you know, what do you call it? Weird, impractical, not impossible, but impractical definitely. Because the whole idea of a tank is to have a moving gun that's armored and hard to hit. Right? Part of that hard to hit bit is being low to the ground. Also, being able to hold a bigger gun is being low to the ground, because the taller your tank turret is above the center of mass, the more the recoil is going to toss your tank around like a salad. No, that's, you know, try to build a small, flat tank, like a turtle. Turtles are like tanks. They're nice and armored and flat and exceptionally good at defending themselves in dirt. I don't know, a turtle tank, same difference, right? Now you'll see I do a trick here actually with this camera. So this camera is positioned behind a solid block, but the camera can see just in front of itself, just enough to phase right through that solid block. So you can put it right in front of a solid block. It doesn't work with like athlete panels or some more complicated blocks, because applique panels aren't like you're not in the face of it, right? I mean, if you had the applique panel facing outwards, like if the camera was touching the applique panel surface, it would work, but I'm saying like otherwise you would be facing the inside of an applique panel. That's what I'm saying. But I'm building this thing overall like an actual tank. And aside from the other 10-minute builds, you know, it doesn't take 10 minutes to get this thing working. I already had this thing working in the first minute when I got the tracks down. You know, it's the only thing about really making this thing a tank that makes it a tank is making it a big moving armored gun, which is beautiful. It's glorious. Look at this beast. You know, they're fun to do. But, you know, I'm thinking about mechs now, and I'm thinking, I kind of want to do a mech 10-minute build, but at the same time, it's like, the more I think about it, I'm like, how do I make it more practical? If I'm not doing a replica, because if I do a replica, I'm going to make another damn Metal Gear. If I'm not doing a replica, I'm going to make an actual combat practical mech. And if I make an actual combat practical mech, it'll eventually just turn into a tank. Because I'll say, oh, feet, right. So, yeah, the walker feet would use less energy if it moved in a rotary pattern. If it always touched the ground and didn't have to readjust or shift its mass, it would also be more efficient in control and stability and maneuverability. Maybe it should just have tracks, or damn it, I have a tank now. You know, it's like, oh I now have a mech that's a robot body and tank tracks, right? And I'm thinking, my command center on the top of my mech seems to be extremely exposed. I'll put it in the armor. And so instead of a head, I just have the cockpit in the body, right? And then the arms on the side of a mech, I'll just be like, it would be better for the turret if I moved the guns closer to the center of mass of the turret and lower, closer to the base of the turret, so it doesn't flip my vehicle or cause any damage to the turret. Yeah, I end up with a tank. Just how I've always thought about it. The best mech in the world is a tank. What do you guys think? I mean, in Battlefield 2142, the excuse was that, or not excuse, but mechs were just basically walking tanks. They're just like balls of gun with legs. Kind of like the AT-ST from Star Wars, if you know what that is. And it's interesting because they're described in the game as being a, like, rough terrain vehicle for, like, you know, like snow and peeking over, like, little hills or whatnot. But thinking about that, it's like, how effectively can they really do that? And what's the payoff, really? You have an extremely high-profile target, and the only benefit is, oh wow, it can move like person. Anyway, well, enough talking about mechs while we're talking about tanks. If you guys want me to explain this tank build a little more, I'm just shoving a gun in a turret. And you'll see, actually, in a little bit after this, one of the most important things I do when building any turret on a ship, a tank, on anything, is I balance the center of mass of the turret. And you see, when you go into a sub-object, you actually are seeing the center of mass of that sub-object and not the main vehicle. So use that to your advantage, because you can align the center of mass, like I'm doing right now, or attempting to do. You can align the center of mass to the axis of rotation, which is the same block, or the same line up with your spinner, as I'm checking right now. And the reason for doing this is because if your center of mass is, let's say, forward, like it's like 2 blocks in front of the spinner, right? The center of mass of the spinner is 2 blocks in front of the spinner. When you swing that turret around, it's going to shift the center of mass of your vehicle. If we put this into the perspective of ship, if you had, let's say, a bunch of battleship turrets on a battleship, and you swung them around to a 90-degree broadside, if they weren't balanced, if the barrels were just weighing the end of your ship down, your ship is going to list towards where your barrels are aiming. So it's really hard to fire when your ship is tipping towards your target. The way to counter this on any turret would be to weigh the back of the turret back with a counterweight, you know, which is what you see on a lot of like World War II style turrets. You see the big back of the turret head. You see how the rotation of the turret is very forward of the whole turret. Anyway guys, this has been Spud Cubs with another 10-minute build. I hope you enjoyed. Please like the video, share the video with your friends, and please have a buoyant day.
Why? Why? Why?